Welcome to the Literati scene with Smoki Bacon and Dick Concannon, and co-hosts Suzanne McDonald and Joanna DiTillo. So stay tuned.
Our guest today is Andre Dubus. Andre is an award-winning writer. We are all very impressed that he was picked for what was the firm that
Oprah.
has the television?
Oh, I believe her name's Oprah Winfrey.
Yeah.
Yes.
And doesn't she sell books?
I'm afraid she does. Yeah, I'm grateful she does, yes. Absolutely.
Anyway, his latest book is Dirty Love. And Andre, in reading this book, I felt you should be on a reality show.
Oh, really?
Because the experience of certainly myself, but a great number of other people are dealing with the same subjects you dealt with, only we don't talk about them. What was your mission when you wrote this book?
Well, you know, it's a great question. I mean, my mission is always the same, and I think, well, look, the writer Tim O'Brien once wrote in a book of mine, Andre, I hope this reaches inside. And I read that and I thought, my God, isn't that the artist's credo? I know for me that's all I'm trying to do. I'm trying to reach inside. I'm trying to reach inside the characters. And then I found time after time that if I'm successful in that if I've caught them in some sort of an honest, complicated way, that the beautiful miracle of reading is it reaches inside the reader. If you capture the humanity of a character, you will actually, it's as if we have wind chimes inside of us that all of a sudden ring. And so that's all I was trying to do with this story, Dick, is enter these characters and try to capture them as they are.
Well, there was a certain element in there which you challenged is fidelity and morality. Have they been diluted in our culture?
Oh yeah, I think that writers so often work from their wounds, their fears, their hauntings. I'm not patting myself on the back, but I feel very fortunate that I've been in a monogamous marriage for 25 years. I actually did not think that was possible. We live in a time when sex is a contact sport, where teenagers consider sex not even sex. And there's a lot of, and there's no moralizing for me. Please, I don't judge any fellow man on this, but I was really interested in this whole notion of how hard it is to be married well. Having been a husband for 25 years, I've come to the conclusion that the word husband is not a noun, it's a verb, and it's a job with a list of tasks, and you have to do them whether you feel like it or not. And that job's not for everybody, wives either. And so I've been really wrestling with the complicated mess that marriage really is.
Well, that sort of trips me to Cole Porter, who said it was just one of those things.
Yeah.
Are a great number of relationships just one of those things? And how do you deal with that long-term proposition that most of us hope for?
Well, you mean how do I, as a human, as a real person, or as a writer?
As a writer.
Well, I can tell you that I do have a really powerful partner. My wife's a dancer, and she's full Greek, and she's a choreographer, and she doesn't need any man. She never has, and that's probably why we get along so well. When in this Dirty Love, these characters, I think what I'm trying to do is get down to the bottom of what is an intimate life with another human being? We know that we need to be companions. We know we need to support each other. But what is the role of sex anyway? Is it just some greedy, needy mutual release, or is it really an exchange of love? Is it something that's cruel and cold? I think it's all of the above. Actually, I think it depends. And when you throw alcohol into the mix, it gets even more fraught with danger. You know, look, I have so many friends who are divorcing after 25, 30 years. And that's one of the things. My wife and I shouldn't joke. We're the last couple in the boat. My king-size bed feels like it's got holes in it and the water's coming in. And I'm holding her and I'm looking in her face and saying, we're okay, aren't we okay? We're okay. And I think I've written myself through these fears in Dirty Love.
But tell me, is the only escape to run and start over again?
See, that's the thing, though. I think that's a profoundly important question. I do think that too many of us think the only escape is to run and start again. You know, we live in a really immature culture, right? So if our spending habits are out of control, we declare bankruptcy. If we eat too much and gain too much weight, we get a tummy tuck. If we you know, no one's claiming responsibility anymore, and I'm not trying to moralize, but I do think that it's, and I'm not saying that divorce is all bad. Many couples need to end and move on. I mean, it's healthier for all. I'm saying that my own belief, there's a great line from Flannery O'Connor. She said, a writer's beliefs are not what she sees, but the light by which she sees. And when I look at Dirty Love, when I read it to myself, what I see is one thing I believe, which is, I really think that I think we're really on earth for two major reasons. One is to find out who we are and then be that person, live that authentic life you're supposed to live, which is not easy to find and it's not easy to live. And two, more importantly, I think we're here to learn how to love and be loved. And you could write a lifetime just wrestling with that question, how to love and be loved as a father, as a husband, as a mother, as a wife, as a daughter, as a son, as a friend, on and on. And I think running away is the first button we hit, and it's too bad because I think that there's a wonderful line from the French writer Léon Bloy. He said, there are places, man has places in his heart which do not yet exist, and into them enters suffering in order that they may have existence. I'm not saying we have to be masochistic and live in terrible relationships, but I do think we all run a little bit too quickly than is good for us.
Before we go, tell me, is depression an element of this relationship situation?
Yeah, I think so. And I think that most of us, I think a lot of us are depressed. And we show it in ways like sleeping with the wrong people, like drinking too much, like finding distractions that we think are fine and they're not. Making money is actually sometimes a bit of a drug. Yeah. So I've tried to wrestle with all of these snakes in this book, and actually, ironically, I don't think it's that a depressing book. I think it's one of my more hopeful books, surprisingly.
Well, tell us before we go. Do you have a website in case anybody want to follow up?
I do have a website. I resisted it for years because I'm not a real internet digital loving guy, but it's andrewdubusthird.com or andrewdubus.com. And if you want to come see me when I'm doing my readings or what have you, just pop on in and you'll find me. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for being on the show.
Oh, it's an honor once again to see you, Dick. Thank you.
Good. Well, we'll catch you in your next book.
Please do.
Those of us who've lived in Boston for a dozen years or more have watched with great interest what's been going on in Somerville, how Somerville has progressed from a blue-collar provincial city to a largely dynamic, youthful, and culturally active with it city, and it's been very exciting to watch. It's also interesting that the progressive programs that they are incorporating over there have come to the attention of the White House. Well, I know that business, attracting business has been a big part of your vision. And I'd sort of like to know how you incentivize new businesses to come to Somerville. I, for example, this summer went to Assembly Square to see Cavalia. Now you would have thought Cavalia, this incredible program, this entertainment show that brought in hundreds and thousands of people, would have been in Boston. But in fact, they chose Somerville. So tell us how you do that.
Well, I think the important thing is to realize that here in the metro Boston area, we are witnessing the greatest demographic shift in our nation's history since mid-century. Today you have baby boomers, millennials like myself, and the hipsters, as we say, all colliding in the metro regions around the country. And here in Boston, you're seeing a collision of ethnicity, diversity, wealth, consumerism, intellect, that is colliding and bumping to do real special things. And we saw that coming as a municipality. We saw that opportunity and asset and wanted to leverage our assets to create and build a community. So on attracting businesses, we wanted to enable collaborative creativity. We wanted to spur innovation. We wanted to give rise to the next best thing. So in Somerville, you're witnessing an incredible revolution of cuisine. Locally, independently owned restaurants of all different tastes and natures in every neighborhood. We sought to bring back neighborhoods of the past like Union Square and Brick Bottom, as well as develop the neighborhoods of the future like Assembly Square, and also recognizing the successes we have today like in Davis Square. And in doing so, we want to make sure our neighborhoods are walkable, bikeable, healthy, clean, and that they embrace all the values of the community, and we identify those assets of culture, history, and the creative economy and the arts to, again, create place, create momentum, create opportunity.
But businesses, did you have to incentivize them in some other way by offering them better deals than they can get elsewhere?
No, and Assembly Square is a different project because it is the greatest smart growth project and the most successful one on the East Coast. In that particular case, we as a community and as a Commonwealth and the federal government invested $130 million in public infrastructure, creating the roadways, the sidewalks, the bike trails, the transit stops. The first train station, T-station in this Commonwealth in 27 years is about to be completed in Assembly Square, which leveraged $1.5 billion of investment just initially alone for the Assembly Square neighborhood and the Assembly Row project. In the remaining part of our neighborhoods, we see great chefs like Anna Sortun wanting to move in Somerville because they want to be in a bikeable and walkable neighborhood down in Gilman Square. We see Union Square thriving because local businesses or regional businesses, restaurants and boutiques want that urban edge. I mean, people want to go to Davis because it's hip.
Yeah. You also have a huge plan ahead at the old Ford Motor. That to me is extraordinary. Would you tell us about that?
Yes. Well, the Assembly Row project in Assembly Square, to give people some scale, is about 146 acres on the Mystic River, just a few miles away. And if you compare, really, North Point has about 45 acres in the Cambridge, Somerville, Boston project, so it's a pretty big project on the Mystic River. And most people don't even know we have a riverfront in Somerville.
I know, right on the river. That is so fabulous.
And what is typical about what happened here mid-century ago is we had, around that time in Somerville, almost 20 rail and trolley stops. They all went away. They brought in I-93, they expanded the McGrath Highway, that bridge we talked about, your uncle's trucking business, and they all went away. And the first one didn't come back till 1984 with the Red Line in Davis Square. Look what happened there. So we recognized if we could leverage the opportunity on the Mystic River, our regional connection to downtown, the financial district, Alameda, the airport, the fact that we're within that power triangle of Harvard, Tufts, and MIT.
It's a natural.
And we can invest in transit, and we set a grand goal for us of the type of vision and plans we want. We could make it happen and build a future.
Yours would be the biggest. Yours would be the biggest.
And the MBTA is huge, and it's happening. And it's
Are they using some of these old tracks?
So typical what happened is they took away the trains, but like a lot of the area, we had the tracks going through the city. They didn't stop. They brought the highways through the city, but they didn't service those areas. So we're repainting the canvas by investing in infrastructure. And I wrote about this recently, and some of my op-eds, that all the great economic upturns were built around transit investment, which is why myself and other mayors and leaders around the state pushed the transportation refinance bill up at the State House. But Because of our work in Assembly Square, we're creating 23,000 permanent new jobs, net new jobs.
23,000?
23,000. 17 million net new tax dollars to the city of Somerville. Actually hundreds of millions in net new tax dollars back to the Commonwealth. We're actually pouring billions of dollars into the Massachusetts economy today because we're investing now with an eye on tomorrow. And we're not selling short. We're not going for casinos. We want to build the industry.
No, and how far are you into the development?
So right now, if you go by on the Mystic River to Assembly Square, you'll notice the first 4 buildings being built. Two of the buildings are mixed-use residential component, the first 500 residential units, and about 300,000 square feet of commercial space and retail. And I'll talk about some of the retails, they're fantastic. The first 100,000 square foot Class A office space and a mixed-use entertainment and retail center, which includes the Legoland Discovery Center, AMC Theaters. But it is a walkable, bikeable neighborhood connected to the Mystic River and connected to the new T station. So we're in the first phase of it, and we're about a little over 10 years out for the final phases to occur. But I would tell you, 146 acres, you're going to see 20 years worth of construction.
That would be just absolutely fabulous.
Here's something I want to ask you. I know you're a great proponent of performance-based budgeting.
Yes.
So why don't you tell us how you do that?
Well, I think when you mentioned, and think of the Boston Magazine article that it was Tom
Yeah.
Keene who wrote, he talked about how we were utilizing data on a real-time basis to, one, gauge the effectiveness of our programs and policies and hold our managers and agency heads accountable. So we utilize data to tell you how fast and how well we fit a pothole. We also utilize data to tell you all what that activity costs. You know, what it costs for materials, time, and personnel.
How do you communicate that to me?
Well, we believe what we have is one of the most transparent budget processes. We partnered with the Kennedy School of Government, or the Harvard Kennedy School, at Harvard University, and Professor Linda Bilmes, and we transformed the budget process. Whereas before, more than 10 years ago, we had a line item budget. All you would see is a code, a title, maybe supplies, and a number. It would tell you how much we spent, but not how we were spending it. It would tell you what we spent over time, but not how well we're doing. It wasn't tied to any goals and objectives. That is totally transformed. If you pick up a Somerville budget document, you'll see the agencies, the goals and objectives of the agencies and the community are laid out, the values, and it's spelled out what that comes down to the nitty-gritty, down to the brass tacks of your tax dollars. In addition, day to day, we utilize data to understand where we are in the budget process. Are we meeting our mark? Are we hitting our goal? We identify issues before they become problems. We're able to reallocate resources to areas to be more effective. And if a program or policy is not meeting our mark, we can make a decision using that data saying we should not invest in that. So we're able to do a lot more and less in a city of Somerville that doesn't have a large commercial tax base. We're trying to change that for the future. It's important that we're smart and we're strategic and we're really using our tax dollars wisely.
I have to get to Shape Up Somerville.
Yes.
I know that's what got me down to Washington.
Yeah.
Michelle Obama interested in the program, I guess. Tell us what Shape Up Somerville really is.
And tell us about the bicycle paths, because indeed there's been much consternation about they're not in the right places in Boston here. When you come right over the corner here, there are 5 streets coming together. This is a challenge.
Yeah, it is a challenge, and we're really proud of the Shape Up Somerville project because it is the basis of Let's Move, which I was proud to announce in February of 2010 with First Lady Michelle Obama. Shape Up Somerville is a community-based environmental approach to intervening and reversing the trends of childhood obesity. It's not telling people how to live. It's not telling you to lose weight. What we did as a community was to look at all the systems in a community that we create with our policy, with our decisions every day, the environments those systems cultivate, and the behaviors they influence. As a goal of Shape Up Somerville, we wanted people to get out and play hard. We wanted them to eat smart and to live well, move more. So we address systems around food policy, food access, the built environment. Could we incentivize you to get out and walk more, bike more, run more? And
You
those
usually
systems,
don't have to get people to get out and eat more.
No,
Are you setting standards in the eating? That's very tricky to fool around.
Like Bloomberg did.
Well, that's it.
You can't have.
Well, that information is important to have labels, but you can't solve the challenge of childhood obesity by saying we're going to get rid of trans fats. I'll tell you what to do. You have to change. We're all part of this one.
So how do you do that?
Ecosystem.
So how are you doing
Yeah.
that?
So we attack the systems that influence our lives.
For for
You know,
example?
what gets you to get up and walk more? Do you feel safe in the streets? Is the infrastructure prepared
Good
to bike? Do you feel like you can walk with your family to the neighborhood stores? It's safe to cross that 6-lane highway to buy your fresh produce and
So how are
vegetables.
you making people feel safer?
Well, we attack the systems around public safety to improve that. We've improved our walk. We've painted more than 33 miles of bike lanes in the city. We've improved the infrastructure so you will go out and run and walk more. We built or designed more than 3 dozen parks, playgrounds, community gardens. So changing the system which is influencing our lives and in our schools, our policy, we no longer just reheat prepackaged foods. Everything's made pretty much on premises fresh. It's wholesome, it's good. And we educate our kids and our families on how to prepare foods and we get into more active. And the results worked. Our kids gained less weight in the Shape Up Somerville project in surrounding communities. And it was so successful, it's been lauded worldwide, and it was the basis for Let's
Well,
Move
it
Michelle
seems to
Obama.
Did you have a
working.
model? Did you have a model that you were following, or is this?
There was a partnership with Tufts University, and Mim Nelson
Oh, I
and
think
Dr.
that's
Christina
terrific, you are
Connors.
involved.
And they were big motivators behind it.
We have to go, but before we go, if you'd let our viewers know, do you have anything that they could get involved in? Are you looking for anything in particular with the general public to become involved in any plans?
We would love the public to come to Somerville and get involved in so many community-based efforts. The whole healthy living and healthy movement and the reversing the trends of child abuse is still active and thriving. We have one thing I love about Somerville, the community is cerebral, our values are progressive, we wear them on our sleeve, and we believe we're really showing the world how you build and lead a community through a grassroots effort. So come on out to Somerville to many civic events, come on out just to be part of what we think is standing we're setting for the rest of the state and for the entire country.
Now, you tell me how to pronounce your last name. I don't want to murder your last name.
Curtatoni's fine.
Curtatone. Our guest today has been the mayor of Somerville, Joseph Curtatone, who lives there with his 4 sons, and Nancy. He is a Somerville High School graduate. He is a Boston College graduate. He went to New England Law School and got his master's degree at Kennedy. And he's had a lot of hands-on experience. And this is one of the most exciting projects I've heard about in this area. Thank you so much for
Thank you
being
for
our
having me.
guest.
Honored
It's
to
been a
be here.
delight.
It's been a pleasure.
Wonderful,
Thank you.
wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us tonight. This has been the Smoki Bacon and Dick Concannon Show.